Good day, grade 10. Today we're going to learn about the water cycle. And here's something to think about. When you have a drink of water, the water in your glass may have fallen from the sky as rain just last week, but the water itself has been around as long as the earth has. When the first fish crawled out of the ocean onto land, your glass of water was part of that ocean. When the Brontosaurus walked through lakes feeding on plants, your glass of water was part of those lakes. The water cycle is essential for life and ecosystems to exist on the planet. Without it, you would not be here today. The Earth has a limited, finite amount of water. That water keeps going around and around and around and, well, you get the idea, in what we call the water cycle. Before we begin, here are some important words you may find useful during this video. They are hydrology. This is the study of the Earth's water and its movement. So think of flowing rivers, oceans, and rain. Evaporation. This is what happens when the sun warms up water in rivers or lakes or oceans and turns it into vapor or steam. The water vapor leaves the water and goes up into the air. Condensation. This is when water vapor in the air gets cold and changes back into liquid, forming clouds. Precipitation. This occurs when so much water has condensed that the air cannot hold it anymore. The clouds get heavy and water falls back to the earth in the form of rain, hail, sleet, or snow. Evapotranspiration. Evapotranspiration. This is the process by which water moves from land to air by evaporation from soil and by transpiration from plants. As you can see, this word is made up of two words: evaporate, which is what happens when liquid turns to gas, and transpiration, which is the process where plants release water vapor into the air. Similar to when humans sweat, so when people perspire, plants transpire. The water cycle describes the flow of water on, below, and above the surface of the earth, where the water exists as ice, fresh water, saline or salt water, atmospheric water or gas, depends on the climate. Water moves from river to ocean, or from ocean to the atmosphere by evaporation, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, and runoff. In doing so, the water goes through different phases: liquid, solid or ice, and gas or vapor. Let's take a closer look at how it works. The sun, which drives the water cycle, heats water in oceans and seas. Water evaporates as water vapor into the air. Even ice and snow can convert directly into water vapor. Water is purified during evaporation. Evapotranspiration happens when water transpires from plants and evaporates from the soil. Rising air currents take the vapor up into the atmosphere, where cooler temperatures cause it to condense into clouds. Clouds grow, bump into one another, and fall out of the sky as precipitation. Some precipitation falls as snow or hail or sleet. It can even accumulate as ice caps and glaciers, which can store frozen water for thousands of years. But most water falls back into the oceans or onto land as rain and flows over the ground as surface runoff. Some of the runoff enters rivers in valleys, with streams flowing back towards the ocean. Runoff and water that comes from the ground, called groundwater, may be stored as fresh water in lakes. Not all runoff flows into rivers. Much of it is soaked into the ground as infiltration. And some groundwater finds little openings that come out as freshwater springs. Over time, the water returns back to the ocean where it is heated by the sun and the water cycle begins all over again. And that's it for today. Please remember that water is a precious and scarce resource that we should look after. I hope you enjoyed this training module. Goodbye. Tot ziens. Salagat.